We made it.
It's been 11 years since Mass Effect 3 released. The gaming industry has evolved so much during the time of the series' absence, for better and worse. BioWare attempted a comeback with Andromeda, which failed to live up to expectations. I also disliked Inquisition for how much of a hollow and boring experience the game was, and I had zero interest in Anthem, which was another disaster. So BioWare overall has just had it rough for years now, and we are in a dark age when it comes to more sequels, spin-offs, and or reboots being pumped out, and I'm overall cynical about the gaming industry, mainly for AAA, yet a part of me is still, dare I say, slightly hopeful for Mass Effect 4. I don't want to make this a real review, but instead focus on my thoughts for the future of this series, because I genuinely love it and just keep thinking about where things could even go at this point. After playing through the series again with Legendary Edition, but still I have major worries about what BioWare might do. We all know how bad the ending was, and that Paragon Destroy ending is most likely the canon choice they go with, so I'm curious as to what the new conflict could even be, with galactic peace sort of achieved and the Reapers hopefully gone for good. Where could they even go? So I structured this video on my ideas for the characters, world, and gameplay with stuff I want or predict could happen. The core thing I love about Mass Effect and many others as well is the characters, except Jacob, so I was disappointed when Andromeda came along and turned them all into Marvel movie tier quipsters. I pray to the enkindlers that BioWare really doesn't screw this up and compares and contrasts why the Normandy crew is so beloved despite their flaws instead of the Andromeda one. The Normandy crew isn't perfect. For instance, I really don't like how Liara goes from awkward scientist to femme fatale badass off screen and being forced into becoming the most important member of the crew, even more so than the last Prothean. I like Zaid and Kasumi, but they come across as afterthought characters, which I guess is true because they were DLC. Samara is boring and I sometimes forget about her, but I did warm up to her a lot in ME3, with her trying to save her daughters, and the lore for the Justicars was cool, I guess. Kaiden is inoffensively bland, and honestly I think I'd like that, but I don't know. Like, his arc is basically co-opted by Ashley past Mass Effect 1. Jacob exists. Jack is like every annoying modern western female character, minus being a fag I guess, but she gets way better in 3 despite the limited screen time. Trainer is just cringe and would fit in with the Andromeda crew now that I think about it. Legion shows up way too late and seems like it just exists to make not all Geth seem evil. You could argue it's the same for Mordin with Salarians, and Salarians versus Krogan conflict, but with Mordin he has more going on with his internal struggle and the morality of the situation when it comes to the conflict. Legion just falls short of this, cause his arc does bring up the Quarians were not completely in the right, but all we mostly see of Geth is pure hostility and them killing people, so Legion being dropped on us to say, see, not all of us are bad, didn't completely move me over to their side. And I do still like him, it's just his arc overall could have been more fleshed out if he was more prominent in ME2 instead of shoved near the end. By the way, can you tell I might have some problems with Mass Effect 2's writing? Anyway, despite my grievances, these guys are just endearing, and watching them interact with their personalities bounce off each other is just enjoyable. But to be honest, I didn't even want the Normandy crew nor Shepard to come back. I just wanted Shepard to retire and chill on Ronak with his wife Utali, the best girl, even BioWare admits that, and for everyone else to continue on with their life and drop by for the occasional party. But Mass Effect 3 robbed us of that, and all we have is the happy ending DLC for Copium. I personally just want a new crew and a new main character, and maybe at best have Ryder or Shepard if they had to be involved as party members. I don't want a new crew and new main character because I'm deeply worried about them mishandling the Normandy crew, or at worst declaring them all dead so that I'm only stuck with the Abysmal Andromeda crew and Liara, who I don't really care that much for or anything. Oh yeah, maybe Grunt might still be alive, my son, so maybe it's not all bad. But seriously, new main character and new crew is what I want, man. My idea was like a main character called Hunter or whatever catchy last name, and you get to choose his past and have it affect gameplay like in Mass Effect 1 with the backgrounds. So maybe he was an ex-Cerberus soldier, or up-and-coming N7 commander, or a rookie inspired by Shepard, or even just a good-for-nothing mercenary for hire, leading other mercenaries. It could just be cool. There's a lot of cool potential there if they're gonna go for a new planned trilogy. As for the crew, I imagine a squad that is similar in terms of having diverse species like the Normandy one, but with no Batarians, of course. Also, I like to keep characters changing based on your protagonist's actions towards them if they decide to bring back Paragon and Renegade. For example, my favorite character is Garrus. I like the fact that he does change along with Shepard in this nuanced way throughout the trilogy that is believable. It's cool, like if you are Paragon leaning, then Garrus is too because of your actions that help send them to stay on the same path. But if you lean more towards Renegade and allow him to go over the edge when he wants to, then he is more cold-blooded, similar to Shepard. I just want a system similar to that for these new characters, and for them to just have their own conviction that can be influenced in a well-written way by the protagonist, but it doesn't feel like you strip that character of their agency when it comes to their future decisions. Like they aren't asking main character, what do I do here, at the conclusion of their arc. So yeah, I do want Paragon and Renegade to come back, but I will talk about that more in the gameplay section of the video. Oh, and I hope they try to not make the new characters, if they make some, all so jokey and quippy. Joker was the only one who was really like that mostly, and it was good enough. The entire universe was saved by Shepard, and the global conflicts between species got resolved, as well as achieving a sort of galactic peace for a moment, minus one thing, that being the AIs, which get completely destroyed in the destroy ending. So if that in this promotional image, it has people of course saying that the Geth might come back. And AIs in general will be involved in some way in Mass Effect 4 or 5, whatever it's called. So this got me thinking of a list for potential conflict ideas I do think are possible. Rebuilding AIs go full Terminator mode, but certain Quarians uploaded them to their suits, so maybe some good ones still exist. Possible Reaper AI survivor, please no, I don't want any more Reapers. Somehow Elusive Man returned and you just killed his faulty clone in Mass Effect 3, or Cerberus is the antagonist again. Mercenary wars with them taking or fighting over resources while people rebuild mass relays and AIs. The Ket come back and the Scourge is involved in some way. New alien race threatens the galaxy. That dropped plot line about how overuse of mass relays is messing up space becomes relevant after all these years. Overall, man, I have no clue what the central conflict could be, or even the story, like especially if it's so many years after taking down the Reapers. I'm thinking the most likely is new Ultron, evil Geth AI antagonist that could clone itself appears out of nowhere, a new alien race tries to kill everyone, or just the boring Ket come into the Milky Way and cause trouble. I personally want mercenary wars, maybe something with similar vibes to the Omega DLC for Mass Effect 3, but that is a side game worthy idea at best, and I'm gonna be sad if I play as old Shepard and my whole squad is dead. Like, cryosleep exists in Mass Effect, but I doubt my whole squad would be cryo slept for so long. I just really want it to be like 3 or 5 years later at best, so I can be all my friends again. But whatever BioWare does, just please not a hint of Reaper involvement, I beg you.
Weakening their integrity. Can't target them.
I can take you on.
Firing a high impact shot. Can't reach the target. I'll tear you apart.
Love Mass Effect 3's combat, and I genuinely want them to bring back the multiplayer in some capacity. However, with Andromeda, they want to move to a more mobile combat and less corridor cover shooter focus, which is completely fine and is actually a good evolution of Mass Effect gameplay that makes sense, considering a lot of games go for high mobility combat these days and less campy cover-based shooting. Really keep the mobile combat BioWare, but just refine it more, not abandon it or go back to cover base for nostalgia or something. For instance, I want peak mobile movement personally, like just go full Warframe or Vanquish with it and allow for some stylish quick shooting instead of the sort of awkward clunky jumping, ledge grabbing and dashing in Andromeda, and just give me more crazy weapons or even melee weapon build options. Like if I could just use Omni swords, whips, axes, hammers, maybe throwing knives like a ninja, and I wouldn't really change how armor works. Maybe allow for better customization, like being able to change intricate parts of its looks more. I just really do like this idea of an over-the-top style third-person shooting for Mass Effect. Now what I don't like is the scanning and mining. I get they are there to add to progression, but they are just so boring and my least favorite aspect of every game, on top of the vehicle segments like the Mako and Hammerhead. I would just honestly get rid of it completely and put more focus on to just exploring a select few of planets that are empty spaces and have side quests that are just mindless busy work. But I do know that ain't happening, and we just gonna have to scan for more minerals all over again. Most likely in the new ship, but I do hope the scale of the game is dialed down, because Mass Effect really worked well with some linearity, and side quests felt like their own mini stories with how they would progress or add to the story in future scenarios, or at least until Mass Effect 3 turned them into purely scanning fetch quest. So another big thing I think should come back that I mentioned earlier is Paragon and Renegade. But not only that, because I think you could even mix it with tones. Like you have emotional, logical, casual, and professional. So I think it would be interesting if you could apply those different tones to Renegade and Paragon. Like you could have a cold-blooded Renegade Shepard who talks logically, a Paragon who talks in a professional manner, a Renegade who's very emotional with their anger, or a Paragon that keeps things casual when speaking. I have a hard time fully explaining this idea, so bear with me, but it's basically allowing for more very complex emotions and role-playing for who the main character is without it being black and white for the entire playthrough. So let's say my made-up main character is coming from an ex-mercenary background where his squad betrayed him, so I could respond to other characters, like say my new squad, in a more renegade but angry, annoyed tone in my dialogue. But over the course of the game I start picking Paragon and casual dialogue as I get to know my squad, and it would be cool if characters acknowledge this, like, oh, you started off mean and cold, but now you're cool with us or something. It just makes role playing more dynamic and replayable to me, instead of just bipolar evil or good like in the main trilogy, or the tones which felt like nothing at all in Andromeda. But anyway, they most likely aren't doing anything close to this because it requires too much work, and I'm going on the assumption it's a new main character and not Shepard again, so I'm okay with no dialogue options in general, but it's an idea I've sat with but have trouble coherently explaining, so I had to throw it in here. At baseline, I'm just hoping for Shepard and his squad to be alive. Also, refined combat. Now in terms of what I predict, well, Shepard coming back, his squad being dead except Liara and Grunt sadly, Andromeda cast being more prevalent. Combat is more mobile with new abilities and weapons, of course. Antagonist is the new alien race or the Ket, or maybe AI. Dialogue options might honestly be gone for good, or it will just be an upgraded version of the tone system. Vehicle mineral scanning, toned down fetch quests, but they still exist, and maybe multiplayer, but it's just an add-on with an abundant microtransactions. I didn't even touch on music or cinematography because I didn't have much to say, and the devs supposedly got the people who worked on that for the trilogy back, so we will see if it's good or not. I just really want this game to be good though, but almost every fiber of my being is telling me no, considering how much of a disappointment the entirety of AAA gaming is, and entertainment in general. On top of bad faith, spiteful subversion, it just feels hopeless to be hopeful. I think that speck of faith is coming from the fact BioWare really needs a win, and they earned their last leg of winning back goodwill from their fans, so maybe they are genuinely putting in all the time and effort to please them instead of fight or disappoint, or I'm just huffing a full tank of copium. I'm moving on from Mass Effect 3 and Andromeda and giving them one more chance to hit gold, but that's all I want to say for now. I should go.